She handed me the bus ticket like it was nothing, a simple white slip between manicured fingers, her diamond ring catching the sunlight. "My company could afford only 2 business-class tickets," she said, smiling that rehearsed smile. "So, Mom and I are flying. You can join us by bus." I stared at her, at my new wife, the woman I'd just promised forever to. The reception wasn't even over yet, and she was already drawing lines in the sand. I didn't say much, just looked her in the eye and said quietly, "You'll regret this." Then I picked up my luggage and walked out. I met Alina 2 years ago at a corporate event. Sharp, charming, a strategist, the kind of woman who could sell frost to winter and make it look like a favor. She said she loved how calm I was. I thought she meant it. Turns out she loved it because it made me predictable. She liked control, and I gave her plenty of room to think she had it. Her mother never liked me. "Too quiet," she'd whisper. "Men like him end up resentful." Funny thing, she was right. It wasn't just about the flight. That was just the final insult. A week before the wedding, I saw her phone light up at night. A message preview. "Can't wait till he's gone. The house will finally be ours." From her mother. I scrolled, just enough to see what they were plotting. Little notes about joint accounts, property titles, and adjusting the prenup once I was more emotionally attached. I didn't say a word. Instead, I smiled through the ceremony. I let them believe the game was still theirs. And while they were busy picking flowers and photographers, I was making copies of everything. The texts, the prenup drafts, the audio recordings, evidence, wrapped neatly like wedding favors. They thought they were marrying a quiet fool with a decent job. They forgot I was a systems analyst, someone who thrives on precision. I changed the joint account details 2 days before the wedding, moved assets into a trust under my sister's name, transferred the car ownership to my company, and set up a tracker on Alina's corporate flight itinerary, not for jealousy, but for timing, because I knew she'd try to humiliate me, and I wanted her to do it publicly. When she gave me that bus ticket, she laughed like it was a joke. Even her mother joined in, pretending it was sensible since I liked adventure. So I left, calmly, but not to take the bus. I drove to the airport, a different terminal, and boarded an earlier flight, first class, on her company's dime. You see, her company wasn't hers. It was a shell firm registered under my holding group. I'd quietly acquired majority control 3 months before. Alina never bothered to read the filings. She was too busy picking wedding dresses. So while she and her mother strutted into the airport, their names flagged on the system. "Denied boarding. Ticket invalid," the attendant said. "Payment issue." Meanwhile, I was already landing in Bali. Her name flashed on my screen that evening. She was panicking. "Someone canceled our tickets. We're stuck at the airport." I could hear her mother shouting in the background, blaming everyone but herself. I listened, calmly. Then I said, "That must be difficult. But don't worry, the company will handle it." She froze. "What do you mean?" "The company," I said. "My company." A silence so sharp it almost whistled through the line. You did this?" she whispered. "No," I replied. "You did. When you forgot who you married." By the time she landed, on an economy ticket she bought herself, the house locks had changed. The bank accounts were frozen. Her company email deactivated. Everything she'd planned to take from me was gone. Her mother tried to threaten legal action, but the documents she'd signed, the ones she thought were wedding insurance, were actually consent clauses. She'd transferred her stake in the firm weeks ago. They called it cruel. I called it even. She came to see me one last time, outside the same cafe where we'd met. No makeup, no confidence. Just a woman trying to understand how her empire had crumbled. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "It was just supposed to—" "A joke?" I finished for her. She nodded weakly. I leaned back, studying her. You know what I learned, Alina? Betrayal doesn't always start with lies. Sometimes it starts with laughter. Yours cost you everything. She wanted me to forgive her, but forgiveness isn't currency I trade anymore. The honeymoon I took alone was peaceful, not because of the beaches or the silence, but because I'd finally learned what peace really meant. It's not the absence of noise, it's the absence of deceit. When people ask about my wife, I just say, she taught me the value of a ticket. They laugh, not knowing the story behind it, and I smile, remembering her face when the flight attendant said, "Sorry, your card's been declined."